What's happening, everyone? We are back today. I don't even remember. Did I do a stream this morning? I think I did, actually. Like, I literally can't even remember. The days just went by like a blur. Yeah, I did. That's right. That's right. I talked about the green candles, baby. Green candles. Anyways, welcome back to the show. I'm pretty sure I mentioned at the end of that stream that I'll be back today with SJ and Brent Nally talking health as well. Number three. The most important stuff in the world. There is literally only one game at the end of the day that is staying alive. So the fact that most people want to ignore it and not pay attention to it and go about their lives as if death doesn't exist, it's not coming for you like a Grim Reaper. Shout out to Richard Hart. That is strange and explainable and understandable, but we hope to open that up a little bit here with again the title: want to live a long time, healthy, fit, and rich. It is possible. And maybe you do that with crypto, maybe you do that in different ways. Our ecosystem tends to have some favorite coins and blue chips and assets that we like that are outside of Bitcoin. So if you want to learn more about that, of course, check out the channel. Got content coming out pretty much every day these days on that. But today, again, we got some people on here that have broader and deeper ideals, and hopefully we're able to take what we learn day after day and take our wealth, whether currently or in the future, what we hope the maddest of gains, and put that towards being a force for good in the world and solving some of these big problems that need solving. There's so many problems that people work on, spend time on, that are just, they don't make the list of top things in the world. Like, look at Elon Musk. Like, he's out, solving all the energy issues and civilization issues and stuff like that. The things that he thinks is most important. And then we got people protesting on the street on a whole bunch of different stuff. Again, I'm not bashing any particular cause or foundation or otherwise, but there's so many problems that if you step back and look at it, you could evaluate and determine whether they're really worth your time, your energy, your higher calling in life. And longevity is one of those that I've decided, and a few others have as well, that is worth working on. And I hope to contribute even more today than I am right now. But as of now, besides maybe perhaps pedestrian donations, I'm able to have a platform to highlight people who are doing amazing stuff here and are able to have conversations that are useful and important. So that's what we're going to do today. I'll get to chat in just a minute. If you have any questions, put them in here. Brent I like to think of him as a polymath with, I don't know what he doesn't know about, honestly. And SJ's got a ton of experience and a lot of different professional stuff and otherwise too, especially with Scivive and otherwise. So anyways, if you got any questions, put them in the chat. Without further ado, welcome back to the show, Wild SJ and Brent Nally.
Hey, Max. Thanks for having us.
Two of my favorite people to have on stream. You guys keep it real. You keep it real and real interesting as well. So this is the third one. I think, let's see, the first one, I think we talked about longevity, health, maybe sleep. The second one, I think, was what we talked about, meditation. I believe I'm trying to think of the themes. There are a few different ones on there too. But this one, again, as the title suggests, I think longevity is worth taking a shot at and just kind of explaining and maybe looking at the different angles of why, again, people are, for lack of better words, pro-death. I like the way to put it because it's provoking, but also fundamentally true in a lot of ways. They're just like, they just don't care enough to even think about solving the problem or thinking it's even possible. So SJ actually, I think she has a good story to start us off with to kind of get into the zone of talking about it that she shared in the green room. So yeah, SJ, you want to tell us what you found out recently that makes all this come to light a little bit better?
Yeah, absolutely. So, people think, or at least, okay, so me being newer into the whole longevity space period, I'm thinking that if we can live to 125, 150 years old, that's really something. Like, that's really kind of like pushing the envelope. And oh my goodness, like, wouldn't that be amazing if more people were able to live healthily with vitality up to that kind of age? Well, I went to a conference in New York, and it was the DeFi summit in New York, and networked with a few people there, learned a little bit, and I found this longevity biotech fellowship. Now, you can apply to be part of this biotech fellowship. And I forget, it was so long ago that I applied that I kind of forget a little bit as to what exactly it included, but it seemed to me like something that would really help me wrap my mind around longevity a little bit more. I would get to network more with people in this space and really deep dive into longevity and what it means for us. Well, in the application, one of the questions that they asked was, what is your goal? What age do you want to live until? And I've gotten back and forth with this, but now, and I'm sure after this conversation with the two of you, I will have a whole different idea of what number that really will be for myself. This is the feedback that I got in the email that they sent me as a rejection. Some specific feedback. Okay, so it says, okay, let me go through this real quick. We have to make tough choices on who to accept. Unfortunately, we had to decline your application. I suggest checking out our resources, lifespan.io, VitaDAO, Open Longevity, Fight Aging, agingbiotech.info has a great list. So there's some resources for you guys. And then it says some specific feedback. Your application, you said that you only wanted to live 125 years, which is not aligned with our organization's mission to solve aging entirely. While we support the growing movement in longevity lifestyle practices, ultimately those only buy small amounts of extra time. The Longevity Biotech Fellowship has chosen to focus on the deep research, technology development, and revolutionary institutional social innovations necessary to radically extend human lifespan. We're looking to work with candidates who want to work directly on solving aging entirely. And then it's like, if we misrepresented your interests or direction, please let us know. 125 years is not enough, my friends. Not enough.
That puts a stamp on just how serious they are. This is not really a critique of the rejection or otherwise. It is just showing people there are groups of people, organizations, resources where they don't even believe that her answer was good enough or thinking big enough for what they're trying to solve. So I think that's a great way to just, kick it to Brent too, of like, what makes people think they can do these things? Like, what really makes people think that we can solve this problem?
Hey, Max, great to be here with you and SJ again, and always a lot of fun. I thought it was a great intro by Max, then also great commentary by SJ. So to answer your question, Max, directly, and then I think I could maybe after that share a little bit more details and stuff to kind of piece the puzzle together a little bit more of what SJ was just talking about there with the Longevity Biotech Fellowship. And so first of all, I would say that all life on Earth and all life that we know of is ACs, Ts, and Gs. It's DNA. And so deoxyribonucleic acid. And then we have plant life, and we also have multicellular life like us with what we like to think consciousness and different forms of consciousness. Then you have weird stuff like even within plants, there's about 600 species of carnivorous plants. So I like to mess with vegetarians and vegans a lot and say, oh, you're vegetarian. Would you actually eat a carnivorous plant? Because those things eat like essentially insects and consciousness, even though they're, insects are on a different level of consciousness as us. In any event, I'm rambling. The whole point is all this is what we know of life, and it's ACs, Ts, and Gs, and then it's basically in a specific code. Do we have examples of multicellular life that is just AC, Ts, and Gs in a very specific code that is scientifically, biologically immortal, meaning that it shows absolutely no signs of aging? And in some cases, we actually have some species, I could talk about this. We've done episodes on Lifespan News about this that seem to actually appear to get healthier with age as time progresses. The answers to those questions are a vehement yes. And we probably have hardly even started studying this, to be honest. The more you understand about the biosphere and how much, there's been 5 major disasters, 99% of all species that have ever been alive are dead. We are that 1%-ish on the Earth's 4.5 or so billion years of age. In any event, I'm rambling again. To basically make it as succinct as possible, we can go down a rabbit hole if you guys have questions or the audience wants to know. The answer is an unequivocal yes. So then it comes down to, well, this is basically just a code, is really what it is. It's biological, but it's a code. So we should theoretically be able to look at this code, examine it, and certainly learn some things from it. Can we maybe completely reprogram our cells, about 40 trillion human cells, maybe 100 trillion microbiome cells that make up a human body, reprogram that? I personally don't see any reason why not. It sounds completely difficult, but we've talked about the problem. I'll just say it incredibly briefly. We have about 150,000 people dying on Earth every single day on average. About 110,000 of those are from aging or age-related diseases. Number one being heart disease, number two being cancer, and on and on. In any event, that's just basically aging. Seems to be a huge problem. To me, if you define pain, suffering, not just of you and financial suffering, suffering in every single way you can imagine, but also pain of like your family and loved ones and colleagues and whoever really you're, is part of your life. And if you're somebody who's really big and powerful, like for example, Elon Musk, then you're actually, if he's just going to keep adding value, just being this technological marvel, innovator, technologist, objectively, regardless of what you think of him, if you read the New York Times and all the propaganda or whatever, I mean, he's objectively changed already at age, like 53, two major industries of all of space, aerospace by landing rockets and all the other innovations at SpaceX that he's been the founder, CEO, and led, but also the automobile industry with Tesla. I could go on. In any event, the point is that imagine what that can do if you just get somebody like Elon Musk to live to 125 healthily, just as healthy as he is right now, as what the longevity fellowship, biotech fellowship laughed at SJ because of their perspective. And if we could just thousands, millions, billions of years, it's kind of crazy. It's like, why are we not investing more money in this? And it's a question I've been asking, and I see progress every single year, exciting progress in one perspective. But in another way, a year is like nothing to me now at this point. I'll be 39 in March, and I've been following this stuff since I was about 21 or something like that, 20, somewhere around there. And it's not fast enough. So we want to see it speed up. I've just talked a lot. I'm going to end there. If anybody has questions about the Longevity Biotech Fellowship, Nathan Chang is a director there. He, I think, was extremely integral in founding it. He's also co-founded a new organization called Vitalism that I recently joined. Adam Grise is a friend of mine who's also the other co-founder. And it's an interesting movement they're trying to create with Vitalism. It's a 501c4 right now, but there's also other aspects and plans of it. But the point is that basically you wouldn't be a vitalist if you answered that question. How long do you want to live? 125. And it's subconsciously, it's a pro-aging and just normalcy bias that most people have, because 125 would be great to most people, but it's trying to get you to break through and think just limitless, unlimited growth and think like, why not? And look at everything from a first principles perspective, which is what people like Elon Musk have used to become so successful, and many other successful entrepreneurs like Jensen Huang at NVIDIA, worth like $50 trillion or $1 billion, or whatever he's worth, all have a first principles approach. So again, going back to looking at biology from a first principles approach, I haven't seen any credible evidence that says that we can't do this. Most people believe that we can't. It's a difference from most people thought the world was flat, whatever it was 400 years ago before Galileo. I don't actually
People still think that.
Yeah, some people still think there's flat earthers right now. TikTok videos, wormholes to go down. I've been down and I'm like, wow, you people are morons. Sorry to any flat earthers out there that I offended. No, I'm not sorry. You're a moron. In any event, I've talked enough. I want to take it back to either one of you.
Well, the question I want to dig into too is just, again, the stream. I'm trying to make it more palatable to people who this topic is so unapproachable. It is one of those things where literally you talk about it and they either get head nods where like, oh, okay, that sounds good, or you just get like flat out rejection. Like, that is the stupidest idea I've ever heard. Like, why would you waste money and time and energy on that? You can be helping people on Earth now. Like, why should we go to Mars? You should be helping people on Earth now. It's like that kind of argument. Why should we work on longevity stuff? You should be working on helping people not get sick. They're already old, stuff like that. So, I mean, I imagine a lot of people watching this, I can look at YouTube analytics and stuff. I see a lot of people watching the channel at least are between the ages of like 20 in their 20s to in their 40s. Most people, majority of people. And those are the people that could be, if we're assuming we're well funded and resources and maybe politics, maybe can help or hurt as well in this. Those are the people who could be positively affected, or if not them, their kids, their grandkids, and stuff like that. So the reason to pay attention to it, I think, is there. It's just, again, getting through kind of what you mentioned too, the subconscious like limits we put. Oh, it'd be nice to live to be 125 or even 100 or even 95, like even close to 100 is a feat today. So breaking through that mindset of being like, well, actually, why is there a limit? You know, I watched the movie Interstellar recently for the second time, and I was like, this is so inspirational. Like, I want to this like that movie. I think, you know, if you take anything from it, it's like, go work on hard problems. Like, you can solve things if you put enough time and energy and resources into it, and get people to believe that you can actually do it, even if you lie. And there's the whole part of the story where he does that too, or all that stuff too. But it's, you know, is you think of a longevity moment? I guess maybe one question from this is, you think there'll be a longevity moment where we'll finally kind of like, people will just be like, all right, either somebody big, we've already got some big donors, there's already, you know, billionaires and stuff kind of paying attention to it in different ways. But is there a moment where if you know, got on Twitter and saw one day that this particular thing happened, you'd be like, whoa, maybe we climbed that mountain, maybe we've got over the top, maybe we've overcome something that's really going to get people interested in it now?
I can answer that question because I've thought about it a lot. I think about it almost every day and have for, you know, well over 15 years. I think it's going to be when we have somebody relatively famous, probably really famous, like demonstrably, unequivocally showing that they have reversed aging, and we can all witness that on video, if not in person, probably on video for most people, because it's going to be a super famous person like a president or a major celebrity or an Elon Musk, these billionaires, tech billionaires who are becoming more celebrities in the age of social media. People like me have researched these people for, you know, over 15 years, billionaires. I've just been on the internet, you know, for over 20 years, research. I remember in 2010, like, what makes this guy Elon Musk different? What is it? And I could talk about a lot of those things. I won't right now. But the point is that, yeah, when you see people actually starting to reverse aging, when it's actually possible and people are actually doing it, and it's in every single metric, I could talk about what I mean by that. I mean, every single like biological aging tests, we have very accurate tests. There's a lot of different ones of them. Add them all up together, you have a really good idea of the person's biological age. But what's more important than all that is just our eyeballs and our brains, our neural networks and our cameras, so to speak, and other AIs that will have neural networks and cameras that will come online and be more intelligent, like with all these LLMs, like super intelligence. We'll all look at this and be like, yeah, that human clearly reversed their biological age from the way they talk, from the way they look, from their mannerisms. There's brain scans you can do. You know, I can listen to somebody on the phone and I can tell if they're 94 years old approximately, or 17 years old, or, you know, 34 or, you know, 50. We're programmed in our brains to learn all this stuff, to think about it. Is this person a good person to mate with? And, you know, women, men, whatever, I can tell the man and a woman voice. So there's all these metrics that we have. They're actually just almost more, I could do a whole podcast talking about these metrics. But the point is just the most simple one. With our eyes and our brain, when we can all look on TV and see it's not a deep fake, it's real, it's live TV, it's like the president, or that will change everything, in my opinion, because then people will say, this is not just something that this crazy person on a live stream is talking about being possible. Yeah, he makes pretty decent arguments, I think, but I don't know if this will ever happen. When it happens, everybody's going to want it. And the question is there. I've talked with Aubrey de Grey and other very smart people. I think governments citizens are going to beg their governments, because truly we want this. We have all these mechanisms with religion stuff where we believe it's not possible. So we've built in this pro-aging trans that I didn't use that language, I don't think, but that's basically what SJ had a little bit by the 125. She thought about it more. She's like, yeah, why wouldn't I want to live longer if I'm healthy? The question is, why would you want to die if you were healthy? And if we had medicine, there's another thing you said earlier, Max, I just want to say it very briefly. You're like, why would you work on this? Whatever, there's all these people suffering with it. Well, it's basically medicine, and it would be the best medicine because it's what kills and causes the most suffering, which is aging, ultimately. So if you had medicine to keep people young and healthy, then obviously there's other forms of ill health, and we'd want to cure all diseases and everything. But in any event, I think that's a really good way to look at it. If you're saying, hey, I'm 25, I'm healthy, why would I even mess around with this? Well, from an investing standpoint and a career, it's probably going to explode in the next 10, 20 years. That's what I believe. And I could talk about all sorts of reasons why I believe that. But then also just you start aging biologically in a negative way in a decline at about 25 for men, and it's about 22 for women. That's not across the board. That's not in all 78 organs. You know, your brain's an organ. Your brain keeps growing and can, with a growth mindset, for a very long time in general. But I'm just saying, looking at various metrics, and the heart muscles, the cells, they don't heal the same way most other organs do. All organs kind of regenerate. The liver regenerates really quickly. All organs regenerate in different rates throughout aging. We could talk about that if you guys want to, but the general point is it's about 25. So I'm 39. I can feel it. I have a little bit of gray hairs. I'm, balding, been balding for a long time, knees, all sorts of things. I'm not 25. You can look at me. I can feel me. So the point is, it doesn't really matter how young you are. I'd say learn about this. It's kind of the most exciting. Like, you want money to be able to live and to thrive, but if you don't have your health, and then the older you get, you realize it's the most important thing. So in any event, done rambling again.
No, I just something came up and I just wanted to share breaking news real quick to get your all's reaction. SJ's been viewing as well, it looks like. Before we get back to health as well, and we'll get on some of those points you get to, Brent. But it looks like Waller's posted Richard response to SEC motion for dismissal. So just want to look at this real quick. Dear Judge Among, we represent Richard Schuler, goes by Richard Hart. Smith is respectfully stated dismiss the SEC's complaint. Blockchain is the first world to meet the ledger, publishing. Okay, a lot of points he's talked about on Twitter before too. Complaint alleges Mr. Hart developed 3 open source blockchain programs. Okay, some other programs fails. Interesting. Litigation is another front that regular blockchain technology through enforcement. Okay, so they're taking the enforcement angle instead of rulemaking and waiting legislation. Misguided. Complaint attacks certain blockchain software business rather than the global community individuals just around the communications programs. Yeah, I mean, a lot basically summarized a lot of his tweets that he's talked about and some of the videos recently too, the Merry Christmas one, where he also had some favorable, interesting words for Mr. Gensler. Mr. Hart exercising constitutional rights, free speech. Yeah, so to me, like, my first reaction is, first of all, awesome to see some update or news or whatever, but also this is a response. So I don't know who's been following the case and stuff closely as far as like, and Walrus added Nuclear Herbs, who does a great job covering this. Hexagon, apparently.
Shout out to Nuclear Herbs. Big fan.
I can't wait to see his commentary. Yeah, I've actually asked him to come on the show, and I don't think he's going to right now, but I said, whenever you're ready, man, I would love to
come out.
I would love to have him. Yeah, I'd love to have him and like pick his brain on this stuff. But anyways, I think this is, I don't know. And again, I want to see what Nuclear Herbs has to say on the commentary, but this seems like the initial response. Everyone's like, oh, Richard, doesn't want to be found. There's all kinds of thought about hiding all this stuff. This kind of response seems like the first step of this, not only checking the box of responding and being available and answering or whatever, but also is just setting up the, if I were to speculate, there's probably all these lists of strategies. And like, this is the initial one to be like, all right, we're going to push this one forward, make sure this is on the record, and then maybe continue with some other ones later on. Depends on how this one goes, assuming it's not dismissed or otherwise. Anyways, that's my initial reaction. What do you, SJ, any thoughts?
I got to read it, but it's just exciting. Like, I mean, I've known you and I, especially, I think that this panel here, like, I feel like as people who have read Scivive or know more about Richard's background and know his heart, never doubted that. Like OMFE says, I never doubted him. Like, I have always just felt that he was going to do the right thing. Like, his name on Twitter isn't Richard Hart Win for no reason. He's confident and can be cocky because he's right. He's always right. And he's a great person at debates because he knows his shit. He takes the time to learn what he needs to learn in order to move forward. So it's no surprise to me that he took this time out of the limelight, away from the cameras, away from doing, any kind of marketing, because he needed to dig deep and really find out how to move forward with correct action in order for us to win in this case, because that's what he's about. He wants the glory. He wants the community to shine, and that's what we're going to do. I have no doubts. I never have. So I'm so excited. I can't wait to read over it. Like you said, Nuclear Herbs, I'm a huge fan of the content that he started putting out, and I think there's many people who've reached out to him to say, hey, come on my stream, let's talk about this, but he's not ready for that yet, which is fine. Like, all of us need to go at our own pace in terms of the content we put out, how we feel comfortable doing that, what it is that we need or want to do in this community. And it does, again, kind of little off topic here, but it does take all of us, you guys. Like, who knew that someone, you know, who had a background in law was going to be so monumental and helpful to the community when, you know, we're going through this kind of case and things like that. Like, we really, it takes every type of person with every kind of gift, you know, whatever your gift or talent is, there's probably something within this community that you can use it for, and, you know, be acclaimed for that, right? So that, I think that's another part of the whole long, you know, kind of spinning it back to longevity and survivalism, right? Is that group effort, right? Like lifting one another up and coming together, you know, using our minds to really brainstorm, right? And bounce ideas off another one. One of the things that Richard talks about or mentioned several times in Scivive about longevity is, wouldn't it be awesome if Edison and Tesla and, you know, several of these geniuses were still alive today to work together, to build off of one another and what they had done in the past. So that's something that I think we can really take to heart and, you know, move forward together as a community to, you know, win this whole damn DeFi thing. Like, I'm excited about it.
For sure. Yeah. And there's a lot more to this. I'll just scroll down while we're having a discussion before we get back to Scivive again and longevity. But yeah, Brent, any reaction or any just notes for, have you been following it, the case mentioning community? Some people literally don't care. Some people are like, code runs, don't care, distraction, it'll go away eventually. What has been your, you know, perspective on it so far?
Yeah, thanks, Max. I just first want to say that what SA just said there was, what SJ just said there was incredible. That's almost like a tongue twister. So what SJ just said there. A lot of S's and I loved it. Now to answer Max's question, you know, I think I've joined about every month for the last few months on your stream, Max, and then I follow both of you all on X. And I think SJ asked me a question on X. It's hard to remember, maybe like a week or so ago, about kind of Richard and his business and his intelligence and stuff. Anybody could find this. I don't remember exactly what SJ said, but I remember I tried to prepare a well thought out answer, and it turned out to be, you know, kind of like maybe a big paragraph. And I basically said, from my experience, any communication with Richard has been that he's super smart, super well thought out, super long-term thinking, very quick to reply. The smartest people I know reply and communicate with just the most simplistic language possible. And Einstein said, make things as simple as possible and no simpler. And Richard does that with communication. I think I answered to SJ something along the lines of his marketing. You know, he talks about it on his live streams. He has multiple times for years why he does this type of marketing. It's to lure you in with the cars and the jewelry and everything, and then hit you with, you know, the science of whatever he is trying to explain, whether it's about cryptocurrency, originally Bitcoin, then other things. And he created his own. I mean, when I was watching Richard Hart live streams in 2017, I wasn't expecting him to do this. You know, he's just a guy I was listening to who seemed pretty smart, knows about Bitcoin. He didn't even talk about it back then. So that's how long I've been kind of following it. In any event, the point is that I haven't been following this case that close because I know what I believe, everything I've seen about Richard as far as him being super long-term thinker, following the laws, being morally correct. If you just first see Richard for the first time on Instagram, like walking out of Dolce & Gabbana with thousands of dollars of clothes with all of his clothes, I can see how that can create a certain perception of who he is. But if you've studied him as much as I have and stuff, and watched the hours-long live streams and read Scivive, and I've interviewed him about longevity multiple times on our longevity channel, my Brent Nally channel. This guy's super smart. He's thought things through very deep. And so I just personally have faith that things are going to work out for him. And I don't use that word faith like scientifically, religiously. I mean it kind of more scientifically. That's my current analysis. I don't know all the details. I'm actually going to shut up now. I'm curious to learn any more details from you guys. I kind of read the first page there and listened to you, Max, but I was listening to SJ, so I haven't even read any of the stuff you're scrolling through while she was talking or now I've been talking. So that's all for me.
Yeah, and by the way, I started off by saying, you know, this is just maybe the initial push by this, and then this is 4 pages packed full of very tightly written paragraphs and references. So I take that back. It sounds like this is, I mean, probably the initial. I'm going to speculate it's initial response and all this stuff, but it is packed full of just, claims, or I don't know what the words are for it, but pieces of information to defeat the SEC case. I'm going to say it like that, or meant to help in this too. So, I just want to say too, yeah, on all the people who hate Richard Hart, I'm gonna speculate too, 90% of it, they seen some picture of him, they heard something he said, or they otherwise literally had this pedestrian view that they came across him once or twice, and they didn't like the way that he sounded or looked or something. And that's
You're running
it.
a pyramid scheme. It's like,
That's it. Exactly. Like this stuff.
Do you know who Richard Hart is? Have you ever watched a live stream of his? No, but he's running the pyramid scheme. Why do you think that? Because somebody else said it on Twitter. So I've had so many conversations with people like that, and I'm just like, okay, sure, bro.
Like the most uninformed people are the loudest. It seems like it's just crazy. It's like, why should anyone listen to anyone who doesn't know anything about the guy? I want you to listen to someone who's been following him since 2017, or someone who's been reading his audiobooks, or or like having a longevity conversation with him. Like listen to anyone else but random person on the internet who just feels the need to just hate on somebody. It's so unwarranted. And even when people say, oh, he is twerking, or he's, hate me, I'll have more money, never had me, like that kind of thing. He did it for a purpose. Like that's not like he wasn't doing it. Even if you give him the most generous interpretation of, yeah, he just wanted to be arrogant. He just wanted to be, this figure. He wanted to be this thing. It was all for a purpose. The dude, everything you see him do is for a purpose. It is for a mission. And if you look at what he wants to do, he wants to have glory, and him getting glory. I'd rather him get glory than 99% of people else in the world, because I know what he's in it for. I know what he's going to do with it, and hopefully it's going to save all of our lives. And that's
Can I say two things real quick here and tie it back into longevity, but keep it on the Richard Hart and on this point, which is that Richard Hart says he raised $27 million for medical research. And you can go back to I think it was March or February 2020, when me and my longevity team interviewed Richard. He was begging us and telling us, just call it medical research. And he's got a whole chapter. He talks about this in Scivive. He's like, don't call it longevity or whatever. All those, he'd seen all the, research and all of the surveys for years that the global longevity community has done. And calling it medical research basically answers the question, the hypothetical question, Max, that you rose at the beginning of this live stream of well, if I'm just 25, you said your demographics of your YouTube channel, why would I care about that? Well, it's because if you call it medical research, then people think, changes the monkey brain, little, way that you think about it. So language communication is really important. And I just want to drive home that somebody as smart as Richard that figured this stuff out years ago, and other things that he's figured out, I wouldn't put it past him that he's next level already, literally planned from a PR perspective. He knew a lawsuit would come at some point. He's probably been preparing for this and has the right legal team, plus his brain put together. So that's why I felt confident, because he's really smart. Nothing, I just want to back up what Max has said here. Nothing that Richard has done as far as being on video, publicly on YouTube or Instagram or on his X account, none of that stuff has been just haphazardly done. He's been very strategic in the way he's branded himself, and he's playing a character to a certain extent with some of the stuff, but we're all playing characters to a certain extent. This is what Jim Carrey talked about when people thought Jim Carrey went crazy in 2017. I'm like, no, he went sane. Jim Carrey realized that as a little kid, he didn't name himself Jim Carrey. He is playing a character. We all are. And he said the most interesting character I've ever played is myself, Jim Carrey. And when I realized that, I realized I didn't need to keep acting. That's why he actually stopped acting for a little bit. In any event, that's what Jim Carrey said. And it's next level. You think about it. And yeah, I think that Richard has been very carefully branding himself and Hex and Pulse and Scivive and these type of things. And so I wouldn't put it past him that this Streisand effect will take him to the next level, and he'll get through it and be validated. Because when people put all these resources into a case and there's nothing there, there's no meat there, then people are like, well, this was a witch hunt. And then people move on. That's just the psychology of how this, in any event, that's my perspective.
Well, just it always frustrates me when people criticize, for example, Elon Musk. They'll be like, oh, I don't like Elon because he said something I didn't like on Twitter, or they'll unsubscribe. Or you see famous people all the time. They're like, oh, I'm not on Twitter anymore because I don't like Elon, or you did or said something. And I'm just like, you're missing the point. First of all, no one's perfect. Second of all, let's say everything that he did that you don't like is justified. Let's say you're right. Like whatever he did, he was wrong to do it. Let's say that. What the hell does it matter? He's solving major world problems. Like there's nothing wrong with feedback and having an opinion, but taking support away from a guy who's working on things that a million people put together couldn't solve without his resources and his time and his willpower, that's the tragedy. Like that's what nobody wants to like admit or realize. Like he's doing things no one else can do. Let's give him a break. How about that? Like that kind of thing. And I think it's the same parallel with Richard. That's the way I feel about it.
100% is what I'll say. I think right now Elon Musk is getting investigated by like 6 different federal government alphabet soup little organizations, and you literally have the sitting president of the United States of America, Joseph Biden, state about a year ago, a little bit more ago, when asked at a press conference, and he normally doesn't even answer press conference questions, which is so crazy that you have a president that hardly does it, and you're about to find out the reason why, because his handlers know that like he shouldn't be talking at all, you know, anywhere public with recording. But what he said when he was asked by the reporter, like, should Elon Musk be investigated at this point because of all his companies and powers? And Joe Biden said, yeah, I mean, I guess you should. And they're like, well, how would you do that? And Joe Biden looks down. Anybody can find this. It's on YouTube. It's not a deep fake. And Joe Biden's like, we have our ways. I mean, dude, that's like a mob boss. And he literally told, that's what he said. Anybody can go look it up. And he said it pretty much just the way I described it. And what do you have about a year and a half later, 6 different federal investigations of Elon Musk. One of them is for apparently Tesla building him a glass house in Texas, you know, for him.
There's all kinds of stuff. There's the one where they're not hiring enough immigrants or something on for national security clearance. It's just
the clown world goes on. Elon's posted many times like there's no house. Tesla's not building me a house. He lives in a little $50,000. You realize he's gone so crazy backwards. Elon Musk has. He's living in like a $50,000 house, sold all his mansions just to say, hey, I'm just trying to do good, putting all my money into Tesla and SpaceX to make the world better. I'm sacrificing, I'm working 100-something hours. I'm doing this all for humanity. Still, the government, the powers that shouldn't be, hate him. They're coming for him. So in this, my whole point is anybody, I'm not going to dig through this. You guys, the whole community, look through it. Tell me anything in here that's worth a damn that says that he's done something, not government BS, but just like actually wrong. And then you'll have my ear. Until then, it's just the more famous you get, the more successful you are, you're going to have your haters come for you. That's the way, unfortunately, reality works right now. It's the way I see it.
Yeah. He's went out of his way to stay out of trouble. Like in so many different phrases he's repeated over and over. I don't work for you. This is, so many different ways, like not giving forward-looking statement, all this stuff. Anyways, I don't know why people think he's gonna lose. The dude is a winner, and it's a good thing. It's a good thing that if he wins, what is bad about him winning? That's another thing. I'll just bring that up real quick. What is bad about Richard winning? Tell me the negative side effect. Tell me the bad thing that happens if Richard wins. He gets glory. He gets to solve all these problems. He gets to do longevity. He gets to his people who follow him, who are in here with good, a lot of good morals, a lot of good principles, a lot of living better lives, all this stuff. Who's affected? Where's the victim, right? Like what's the downside of him winning? Like just because he dressed funny one time and you didn't like it, what's the downside? I don't see any downside. Like what's the downside of meditation? What's the downside? I don't see any. Like what's the downside of Richard winning? Let it, like he should win. He deserves to win. So anyways, I just want to read this last part real quick too. Mr. Hart intends to dismiss the complaint, foregoing reasons, potentially others. Parties have met and conferred and jointly request the following briefing schedule. So they're requesting a schedule, motion due in April. So we got some more dates here to look forward to, I guess. Start expected to schedule a pre-conference and approve the approved briefing schedule. And it's got his, now here you go. Here's this crack legal team. I'm sure people will be looking at them and seeing what kind of experience they have. And I imagine some of the best in the world. I mean, we know he can afford it. So that's pretty cool too. I'm interested to see these people backgrounds and stuff, and I appreciate them. Shout out to them for, obviously I'm sure they're being paid money, but at the same time, like I hope that when we win, like the gratification of winning a case and getting justice for people wrongly accused of things and actually doing more good in the world is also satisfying. So I'm pretty sure there'll be plenty of streams that'll go through dissect every piece again. Shout out to Herb, what's his name? Nuclear Herbs. Yeah, I can't wait to see his analysis as well, and I'm sure we'll cover it more on the show. But breaking big news. Definitely want to cover that while we're live on stream. Really cool. Shout out to Richard Hart. Hang in there, big guy. We got you. You got this. So, battling.
Max,
you guys want to live forever? What's up?
I was saying real quick, I was muted, but it seems like breaking things happen when we stream together. So we need to.
I was thinking that. I was like, so many times PulseChain launched, SA was here. Like you and Axis. Yeah, I'll put it up. Yeah.
Off the news.
I like it.
Oh my gosh. Like, I mean, literally okay, I'll say this before we move on to, I did a stream this morning. I talked about all the green candles and the reasons for that, and a lot of interesting things happening right now. And then Richard comes out, or this motion gets filed, and then also somebody mentioned in the chat that Richard turned on comments.
Yeah.
And then it's possible he has a slot available at the Hex conference later. Will he show up? Will he show up? Is this the time for his return? Is this the time? I don't know, but like there's a lot of things lining up that are very interesting. So wow. Yeah, somebody fact check the turning comments on. I would like to see that be a smart decision.
I saw it. They're on.
Yeah, okay.
Yeah.
Nice. Appreciate
at
that.
Least for this post.
Decisions. Wow. Oh, well,
yeah.
I need to go. Yeah, I'm gonna go comment while I have my screen up here. But yeah, back to longevity. Yeah, not yet. So yeah, where do we go from here? What is, the topic again? You can be healthy, you can live a long time, be fit and rich.
Well, I want to.
Yeah, go ahead.
I want to kind of piggyback off of what Brent had answered. You had asked, what's it going to take for us to really see that this like longevity is attainable. And I thought it was really awesome to hear Brent's answer, because that was my answer. And I was going to say, because I'm on the opposite end of the spectrum, right? Like Brent, you've been deep diving into this for many, many years. I'm kind of newer in these waters, just kind of learning more about longevity. Obviously, with my 125 years is not enough answer, right? So it was cool because I was going to say, like, as someone who's newer to this space, it would be exactly what you said, that someone famous, somebody very well known, we see actual signs of them becoming, that whole fountain of youth ideal, right? Like they are aging backwards, and that's going to be the moment for sure when the world kind of wakes up to, and I don't want to say worries me. Like I have a concern that, and I guess it's like any kind of disruptive technology, right? That when that moment happens, right, it's going to be demonized. It's going to be one of those things that, people are going to try to capitalize on. And it's like, they're going to be like, oh, here's this magic pill for that. Like, I'm interested to see how that plays out, because there are already people doing that, right? With longevity to me. So I've been in the like organic food space for many years. I worked on organic farms, and what we saw, which is still happening today, is what's called greenwashing, right? You see these labels that have 100% organic and all natural and no GMOs, and there's all these different labels that are put upon things that make you want to buy them, because that's the new hot thing. So it seems like I don't remember who I was looking at or what I saw, but there was something I saw that this new person had a new longevity product, and that's what's going to keep happening, is these people are going to start coming out with their own longevity products. They're going to slap that word longevity on it, and there's going to be maybe it's kind of a good thing, because there's going to be an influx of longevity products. And the thing is, though, is knowing about the practices, right? Like, what can you actually do and implement in your life versus just taking a pill, right? You have to start, I think, with the basics of, where is it that you can improve upon your lifestyle choices in order to have the best effect of longevity, I guess, practices on your life, right?
I would completely agree with that, SJ. And for me, being in like an enthusiast for such a long time, and then I was the founding host of Lifespan News for lifespan.io, which, by the way, that was one of the organizations when you were reading verbatim the Longevity Biotech Fellowship reply, they talked about Lifespan.io. That's the organization charity that I volunteer for the last a few years. I think I did it from like 2020 to 2021, mainly a year and a half. I was like all in and volunteering for them, and that's where I hosted Lifespan News. We've actually done lots of episodes talking about a lot of the things that we've talked about here. I can't go really through them all, but I would highly encourage people to just look at the playlist on there as well too. But all of these things can be looked at through different lenses. So like, for example, I can tell you there are scientists who believe the same things that I do as far as like wanting to live as long as possible in that language, but they can't say that publicly. At least it's kind of changing now, you know, to get investors to keep their jobs as professors if they're, you know, so it's very complex. And so that's where my experience where I'm at right now. And I'll try to always have a growth mindset and keep learning. And I can't wait to have my perspective in 5-10 years from now when I'm hopefully more intelligent, experienced, and the industry's progress. But where I'm at right now is, I mean, especially with my personal interviews that I did in like 2019 and 20, interviewing a lot of these PhDs and MDs in the field and stuff. And then the longevity plan company I've been able to look at this through different angles from like kind of wearing different hats. And the most interesting conversations with most of these MDs and PhDs, entrepreneurs in the space and scientists is what you have off camera that they won't say on live stream. And I could go deeper, but I think hopefully people understand that message. Like there's really smart people in this, but you can't always believe what they're saying on video, like on YouTube, like this in an interview, or even privately. They have their reasons for keeping their beliefs, you know, secret because of the market, because of the job and stuff like that. So there are people. I'm trying to find this guy. I know I followed him on Instagram like a year ago. I'm gonna scroll through here. I saw this guy. I was a YouTube video I saw like maybe a year and a half ago. I thought it was BS. Found this guy on Instagram. He's like he's an Asian guy. I think he might be Japanese. He's apparently like 70 or something, and he's just like looks way younger. So and it's legitimate from my research. I'm gonna try and find this guy. I'm gonna shut up. You guys keep going. I'm gonna see if I can find him.
Okay, yeah, that'd be interesting. Yeah, sorry, I'm just soaking it in. SJ, how are you feeling up there about Richard Hart dismissal, files for dismissal news? Somebody said you appear to be very stoic, and because you know the mission, you're focused on the mission.
Yeah, man. I mean, like Richard's gonna do the right thing. Like that's kind of what I said before. Like I don't doubt his moves or his tactics or his team, right? I know he's probably spent years figuring out who it is that he wants by his side and on his team to move forward and get all of this done right, so that the outcome is win, you know. So I'm glad. I mean, if nothing else, I'm excited to see something move forward. It's nice to see him open up his comments and, you know, want to have a little more interaction with the crowd. I like you, I'm hopeful to see him on Maddie Allen's stream later tonight. Richard, come on, let's go. Bring it. I'm wearing the hat again, Richard, just for you.
Come on, Dad. I haven't seen you for a while. Get back up there.
Yeah. And if not, you know, he'll do it when the time is right. Like he knows what he's doing. Right. And I just, that's why I've never felt really any kind of frustration. Like I've seen so many people hate or be upset or like, oh my God, I can't remember who it was, but they were like crying about how Richard has not been a good leader during this bear market. I was like, like, it's not his job to babysit you. I think the best thing he could have done is what he did and let us pick up the torch and build things and take care of things and not just sit there whining and complaining and bitching and hoping that he was going to do it all. Because that's not decentralized. We're a decentralized group of people trying to have decentralized finance in a decentralized way. So
we're a decentralized cult of people who will not give up. Yes.
Right.
I'm not offended by the cult label either. Like when people say that, I'm like, it's so everything that you're loyal to and you believe in and you have principles of and you don't give up on easily, is that a cult? Does that mean you're in a cult? Okay. I guess that just seems like you're just very committed to something and you believe it's better that you're in it instead of not. Weird when people say that. I'm always like, yeah, whatever you want to think. While Brett's Brett, did you find what you wanted to share?
No, but I've just scrolled through. I keep 420 accounts on Instagram that I follow, and same with X. I just like to keep it at 420. And here's one of the reasons why. And besides the obvious, it's just
369, man. 369. You got a lot of
every
special numbers out there.
The reason why is because I'm trying to find this guy, and I could do probably a search and find him through YouTube, but I've just scrolled through a bunch and I couldn't find him. But I scrolled through a lot of names. Peter Diamandis was on there. I just want to say this real quick. He just interviewed Elon on the X Spaces probably about a week ago or so. I not only listened to the whole thing, Peter actually posted a video of him, Peter Diamandis, on his Peter Diamandis YouTube channel of him on his laptop talking to Elon, so I could see Peter's kind of face while he's talking, at least on the X Spaces. And they talked about longevity for a few minutes, Peter and Elon. And Elon, there's a few key things I want to state on this because I re-listened to it. And so I listened to this twice because I really respect Peter Diamandis and he's a medical doctor. For those who don't know, he's the co-founder of Singularity University with Ray Kurzweil in 2009. He started X Prize over 20 years ago. There's an X Prize now out there to reverse aging for a team, and people are taking it seriously. This is a $100 million financial prize if certain metrics are actually made. X Prize has done incredible things. I don't want to talk freaking forever, but if you don't know about X Prize, look it up. Peter's the founder of that. And so in any event, him and Elon have been friends for like 20 plus years. He's interviewed Elon a bunch, and he's been trying to get Elon on the longevity board. Elon just won't hop on. But Peter made a little bit more progress to Elon, explaining things very logically, very scientifically, very medical doctory-ish. And Elon is like, hey, this guy's an actual medical doctor. He might not be practicing because he's an incredibly successful entrepreneur and everything, but has his degree from Harvard, I believe. In any event, the point is Elon made progress here in his understanding. And I really want Elon to just, if we can, people in longevity, we were just saying the other day in a chat group, I was in, we don't need Elon. We don't need these. Yes, you do. You need Elon on board. Like I didn't even reply in the chat group. Sometimes I don't just waste my time on things. In fact, it's frustrating. But I'm like, yes, you want Elon, you want Bezos, you want all of them in it. Final thing real quick. Lex Friedman just interviewed Jeff Bezos a couple weeks ago. I don't know if people saw it. I watched the whole thing.
I saw it.
Huge missed opportunity to not ask Bezos about his potential investment in Altos Labs. It still isn't. I reported this in September 2001 when I was still hosting Lifespan News. That's how long ago this was. This is basically 2.5 years ago. I was really excited. But Bezos, in like 2.5 years, has never publicly stated, yeah, I actually did invest in Altos Labs, which, by the way, is just an all-star. This is the largest privately funded organization of any time. It's over $2 billion. Yuri Milner definitely is a founder and definitely put it. Yuri Milner is a Russian billionaire worth like, I don't know, $8 billion or something. Huge early angel investor in Facebook, Russian. He also created his own version of this new prize, similar to an X Prize, but more kind of like a Nobel Prize, where he's awarding the best scientists of certain things, even more than the Nobel Prize. So he's trying to really. These are incredible people, basically, is what listen to everything that I'm saying. These are people that we all want to root for and support and get them to help us live longer and healthier. I mean, I don't understand when you explain it like that. The worst I ever hear from people is like, well, my life already sucks. It's just going to suck longer. And I'm like, okay, well, I can't really, like, that's a whole different conversation.
This is not for you.
How did I get here? I got here from 2 decades of personal development. I don't have this mindset because I'm a defeatist. Right. I can talk to you about that on the side, but right now, let's stay on topic. Nobody has the excuses that I hear are just stupid. It's like a personal problem that you're having or something. My life sucks. Okay, we'll talk about how you can get it better. This is actually one of the ways, giving you more time, healthy time. But Elon's final thing on this, I'm sorry to rant. Elon is still stuck on he thinks if we reverse age, he's like, well, they're just going to still be old in their brain. I'm like, no, dude, that's not what we're talking about here. This is reversal of the whole body, all cells. Cellular reprogram is probably the best. Bring back your neuroplasticity, your ability to learn, grow, have a growth mindset, have a good long-term perspective. In any event, I'm rambling. Elon doesn't get that. He really needs to understand that, because that's what we're all talking about in the true biorejuvenation. It's not like we're biorejuvenation 77 organs of yours, but not your 78th, your brain. Like, no, all of them. So,
but Brent, what if we have hundreds of years of knowledge that we use to compound and help humanity? What if our brains are that old and that great? Like, what are we going to do then?
Most people don't realize, if you look at a chart, like a logarithmic chart of the growth of the economy for humans over the last 2,000 years, and you just look at like the last 200, it's just like a hockey puck stick, just takes off. And so people talk about the singularity. I'm like, well, we've already had an economic singularity over the last 200 years relative to approximately 200,000 years of Homo sapien life, when they say that we became Homo sapien sapien. That's what all the scientists say. So the point is that it can just explode exponentially and continuously, and there's no reason to believe it will ever stop or slow down. So that's what growth is. Most people don't realize like how crazy things can get. And people think about I'll leave you with this, because I don't know how much longer we're going to keep going. I'm going to make this very brief. I'll leave you with this. Most people have these stupid rebuttals of things that they haven't thought through. They should think more before talking when it comes to this like conversation in general. And then when you tell them something that like blows their mind, most people, from my personal experience, they like it's sinking in. Logically, they understand what I said and they can start to envision it, but their monkey brain, their pro-death aging trans that they're in, is controlling more of their neurochemistry and their brain power. And so they'll think about it a little bit, but it pulls them back, and most people don't keep going and just exploring this from a first principles standpoint of what things will look like, how we'll most likely get there. And we could maybe the next stream we could talk about that, because I have a mental model of how I think this will play out. I think once we get to the point we talked about earlier, where like there's a celebrity or president or somebody's clearly reverse aging meaningfully, so like we all now, humans who have a brain and thinking capacity, I don't know, maybe 70% of people. There's some people are just there's followers and leaders. Some people, no matter what, they just have to be dragged into the future, but most smart people will be able to look at that and reason and be like, well, shit, why don't we all have this? Why does Mr. super wealthy, powerful person get to have it, but not me? So I think they'll lobby the governments, and honestly, it'll be probably the US, China, a few others, EU, whatever, that will do most of the research or help fund the research of the scientists actually, obviously really doing the research. And it could then hopefully democratize quickly. But it will depend on how scalable it is, what it actually is, how complex it is. That's like a whole podcast that we could talk about. But it will probably be a bunch of different things together in any event.
Wow.
Sorry.
Yeah, I'm sorry we didn't get to. You had some previous points before we hit the breaking news earlier that are lost at this point, unfortunately. But man, you are a vertical machine system of pumping out quality information, and anytime you want to rant, just go for it, because it's usually useful and you got some ROI.
I need to do more live streams. I've been busy. I read the whole Elon Musk book back in 2023 in September by Walter Isaacson, the autobiographer who wrote the book. I sat here and read the whole thing. And then I did like a half-hour analysis or synopsis of it at the very end, kind of shared my thoughts. And I got good comments from people. So I should probably do this. I like doing it. Just talking live streams are fun.
Yes, this will not be our last one. I'm pretty sure. We got, again, every time you go in different directions, like, wow, we could spend a stream on that. We could spend a stream on that, and all these different branches. But we will definitely we'll get to some more on number 4, I'm sure. SJ, though, we'll wrap up on this. You want to talk about product, maybe for sleep? I think someone in the chat was talking about.
Yeah, for sure. So speaking of these streams, go back to, I think it was our first stream, and that was the first episode of this series. And we really kind of hit it on sleep a lot, because that's one of if not the number one thing that you can do to improve your health and vitality and longevity right now is get better sleep. And I had this really, of course, like, this is the whole anecdotal thing, right? But I had a friend who was having trouble sleeping, and I recommended this. I don't have trouble sleeping. Here's the thing, is like, I really don't. And this tincture, this passion flora tincture, was given to me by a friend. I actually know the woman who makes all these tinctures. She's a farmer in Puerto Rico. I connected with her when I lived out there, and she makes all of them from items on her farm that she grows herself. So you're supporting a really awesome human if you're gonna purchase from this link here. And I've had it for a little while, and I gave it to my friend. I was like, hey, you should try this out. Like, if you're not sleeping well, like, see if this helps you at all. And it did. Like, they went from having interrupted sleep, right? Like for years, interrupted sleep, waking up too early, not being able to fall asleep right away, to taking this tincture and then being able to fall asleep right away and sleep through the night, 6, 7, 8 hours, which they couldn't remember the last time they'd have been able to do that. So, and that this just happened within the last couple of months. I know there's a lot of other things that you can do for that, but if this is something that's 100% natural, it's just a flower. It's a passion flower extract. And if it can help anybody else, I just wanted to kind of put that out there and let you all know that this is something that is available. So, yeah.
Excellent. Yeah.
That's
also,
awesome.
I want to, Brett, if you have any thoughts on,
Just super briefly, that's awesome. I love hearing, sometimes the solutions are so simple and elegant. And I used to take valerian root in like 2015 to 2017 to help me sleep. I thought it helped me sleep. It's, there's research that shows it should. There's like pills and products and valerian roots usually in it. So in any event, that's awesome. But there's so many things you can do without popping a pill. We talked about that. I would encourage people to listen to the health as well. I think we talked about sleep. It might not be, was it titled that, Max? Do you recall?
I think number one is sleep in the title. So if you type in health is wealth, RHMax, the first one should say sleep and a bunch of different things.
If you go back to my December 2019 interview on Richard Hart's channel, so you could just search Brent Nally, Richard Hart, it will come up. Towards the end, I went like I think the last like half hour I was talking to Richard about sleep, and Richard was like, all right, well, that's it. There can't be any more about sleep. And I was like, well, actually, that was just the beginning, dude. Sorry, it's a rabbit hole. And it's insane, actually, because it depends on so many different things. But there's things that people can do. But last thing I'll say is I'm so glad, SJ, that I don't know if you said friend or contact, that person was just able to that one thing improve their sleep, because it's so to get 6, 7 straight hours of sleep compared to not getting that, being interrupted. That's, in my opinion, that's a night and day scenario.
Yeah, it made me super happy. I was like, that's great, because I want you to live longer. So
yeah, these nights where we may or may not be getting green candles, we've been getting a few lately. If that continues, people are going to be looking for answers to sleep better, because they're going to be so happy about being more wealthy, I hope. Amazing stuff.
Yo, we're pumping so hard right now, though. Sorry, I just refreshed my app. I couldn't help it.
Let me go Pulse and pull it up real quick, because now you've intrigued me. Everyone in the chat keeps talking about it real quick before we end. Just so
like my best friend that finally let me get her into Hex. Wow. She just doubled her money already.
Wow.
We are getting there. Yeah, combined Hex is almost 2 cents. So that is great. Wow.
Yeah, she bought like a few days ago when it was low. Like it was like almost 3.003.
Wow. Look at the daily real quick. Yeah, I mean, look at this daily count.
Is this what a bull market feels like, you guys? Are we doing it?
Well, we probably said it back here too, didn't we? And they were like, So yeah. Anyways, I'm the guy who's measured. I'm the guy who's not supposed to have very much hope. I was born in the bear. I was burning in the bear market. But now I'm very excited. I will say I'm very excited. I said this morning, I'm like, I'm not the guy who gets that excited. I try to be very measured, but oh my gosh, the stars, if they're aligning the way that everyone feels and wants to happen, and God, we deserve it at this point. I have to say that. I long this community 2024. I'll say that, long this community. Amazing stuff. Everyone though, Scivive, Brent, where can people learn more about Wild SJ and Brent before we wrap up here?
I'll go first because mine's simple. Brent Nally, YouTube, Brent Nally, X, Brent Nally, whatever social media. Yeah. Oh, and they talked about Solving Aging, SJ, and the little longevity biotech fellowship. I own solvingaging.com as well too. So I might do something with that at some point. If anybody has any, I have ideas, but serious business ventures only. That's all.
Yes. Very cool. I am also a Wild SJ on all the platforms everywhere. So super simple as well. I feel like there's another thing. Oh, the PulseChain tour, right? I was like, there's something else that I'm involved with that's not my name. Also, huge proponent of and worker for, I guess, the PulseChain tour. So go to pulsechaintour.com. Coming to a city near you. We are going worldwide this year. So I think it's going to be a good year. I think we're going to have a lot of reason to celebrate and reasons to meet up. Last year was freaking brutal, guys. Let me tell you, I want to see the difference between going on tour to promote this ecosystem in a bear market and going through it in a bull market. So I'm really hopeful that that's what's coming.
Is your body ready? Because it may
Is
be
my body.
It may be crazy. Yeah. This is my third cycle, and I can tell you, I never went on tour during a cycle, but boy, hopefully you'll have some fun. Hopefully
I've been taking cold showers almost every morning. I can't remember the last time I took a warm shower since like November. So yeah, like, ice cold too, because it's in my bus. So my bus water is exposed to the elements, and it got down to like 36 degrees last night. So I am taking ice cold showers, and I love it.
You hear that, everyone? Buses are good for longevity. That's what I heard out of that.
Yes.
Everyone, again, fantastic conversation. There will definitely be a number 4 at some point. Everyone out there, hopefully you got a lot out of the stream. Again, contact these people if you want to know more about their stuff. Again, SJ is doing amazing work with PulseChain Tour. Just been killing it all 2023. I'm sure she's going to do the same in 2024. No pressure, no expectations. But I'm pretty sure it's going to happen. And Brent, keep being Brent, man. Like you are. Yeah, I don't know how. It's unreasonable to think you will not be even more of a force for good in the world with stuff you're working on. So we really appreciate you being in the community and all the stuff you're doing, and just grateful to get your time, both of you as well. It's a love to talk to both of you.
Yeah, right back at you, Max. Thanks for everything you do. Oh, speaking of which, go Real DeFi, y'all. That site, Max, thank you for putting that together. That helped so much when I was trying to get all this stuff done with my best friend. Like, you and your resources and what you do, like both of y'all, invaluable. Like, I'm so happy to be a part of this team. So go team win.
Go team win. Yes. Yeah. That's I like it too. It's my website, and I like it. I like a lot of people that seem to like it too. So I'm glad it could help you. And yeah, that was a great onboarding story you shared earlier too.
Yeah.
Everyone, Scivive and 5555. We are out.